Welcome to the Fearful Fright series, where we will be reading with our favorite green ghoul, Grimmer. Now sit back and enjoy this twisted tale. Today our story is called Words of the Wizard. A long time ago in a small village, there lived a boy with no name. This boy has been on the streets almost all his life. When he was very young, he saw his father turn into a demon-like monster under a blood moon, killing many people in the village, including his mother. Ever since then he has been forced to roam the streets, stealing food, and doing whatever it took to survive. The boy was now 16 years old. Eventually he grew streetwise, doing pickpocketing and other petty crimes for a little bit of gold. One day this boy with no name was hungry. He had no gold, and was tired of eating Alexander's, which was an ancient edible plant. So the boy with no name came up with a plan. He decided he would go to the nearest bread maker and steal as much bread and wine as he could. Even though he knew all the bread and wine was controlled by the evil tyrant King Uther Pendragon I. Uther was the kind of king that would grind your bones for bread in the morning, and eat it with soup for lunch, and throw what was left of you to the alligators in the castle moat. But the boy with no name didn't care. It had been 9 days since he last ate, and 2 days since he had anything to drink. He was so hungry that not even Uther could stop him. As the boy with no name started down the dirt path, he noticed Uther's guards were patrolling in large numbers. That's a little strange. They never have this many guards outside the castle, unless they were preparing to defend the castle. But there were no other foreign knights roaming about. I better be careful, the boy thought, still determined to satisfy his hunger and thirst. He continued on his way to the nearest bread maker. Once he arrived at the bread maker's hut, he noticed an old lady making bread. He felt awful about having to steal from a little old lady, even if it was for survival. The boy with no name finally came to his senses. I can't steal from her. Let's face it, he thought to himself. I can't steal bread from anyone in this village. Uther would have my head. As the boy with no name was sitting there, stomach growling, wondering what his next plan was, he heard a small voice say, "Hello dear. I see you sitting not doing anything, young man. Do you think you could do an old lady a favor? My sister has an old hut just outside of the village to the east. I'm running low on ingredients. Can you take this list to her and bring me back the ingredients I need? I will give you 2 pieces of gold for the trouble, dear." The boy with no name jumped up with excitement. "Yes ma'am, I'll be back before you know it," he said. This is great, he thought. Now I'll be able to buy food for 10 days. He ran as fast as he could out of the village, wanting to get to the house of the bread maker's sister as soon as possible, so he could go back and buy all the food and wine he wanted. Soon he arrived at an old rundown hut. Hesitant at first, he made his way to the door. Knock, knock, knock. "Hello, anyone there?" he said. "Your sister sent me to get ingredients." Just then he heard a small shriveled voice saying, come in, I've been expecting you." The boy with no name opened the door. "Expecting me, ma'am?" he said, confused. "Yes, my dear." The old lady said, "My sister usually runs out of ingredients around this time. Take a seat and relax. I'll get the ingredients together for you right now." The old lady said, "By the way, my dear, are you hungry?" she asked. "I just finished dinner, but there is some left if you would like some, young man." "I would love some food," said the boy with no name. So the old lady prepared him a bowl of soup. "Here you go," she said, smiling. "Make sure you eat it all up, dear. A thin boy like you could use a good meal." The boy didn't hesitate. He ate the soup as fast as he could. Just then the old lady pulled out a book and started chanting. She spoke very strange words and waved her hands about. Before you knew it, the old lady had turned the boy with no name into a frog. "Hey, Ribbit, what did you do that for?" he said. "I've got you now, dear. Me and my sisters have been turning little brats like you into frogs for years. The Eildor village never knew the difference until recently. It seems we've taken too many of you brats. Now King Uther Pendragon is starting to get suspicious. Wondering why his peasants aren't making the determined amount of bread and wine required by his law. Well, guess what, dear?" The old lady said. "You'll be our 50th child this month. We have an exchange with the wizards. For every 100 children's frog legs we give them, we get 20 years of our youth back." "Oh no, turn me back, let me go, you old witch," he demanded, but it was to no avail. She quickly scooped him up in a jar and tossed them in her pond behind her old run-down hut. He was tossed with the rest of the children turned into frogs. All the boy with no name could hear was, help me, Ribbit." She turned all of us into frogs. Ribbit. The boy with no name couldn't believe his eyes. "How did I get myself into this mess?" he thought. Then the boy with no name got an idea. "Maybe if I sneak back into the old rundown hut, I might just be able to read that spell backwards, and hopefully reverse the spell's effects." As soon as it started to get dark, the boy with no name began to sneak in. He climbed up a tree, hopped on a branch, and jumped through a window that had been left open by the old witch. While on the ledge of the window, he heard knocking at the door. "Come in, dear," the old witch said. Then walked in an old wizard wearing a purple cloak. "Hello, my friend. Have you got the full batch?" he asked. "We just got the last one," she said, grinning. "That's perfect," said the wizard. "We were getting pretty hungry, you know." "Now how many years of youth was it again?" 30, right, said the old witch. "No, we never agreed to that," said the wizard. "I believe the agreed upon number was 15 years. "Now hold on just a second," the old witch said, yelling. "I know for a fact you said 30. And 30 it will be. Now I know me and my brothers would never agree to such a number," yelled the wizard back at her. 15, maybe 20 tops. That's the deal. Take it or leave it." "I'm no fool," said the witch. "I know what my work is worth. And you'll pay me appropriately." As the wizard and witch began to argue further, the boy with no name took the opportunity. He made his way over to the book the witch was reading. He began to read the page it was open to. And it read, "Take caution when reading Merlin's magic words of the wizard." He managed to turn the page. "Yes, this is it. This is the page she used on me." He read aloud the spell backwards. Then suddenly he turned back into a boy. He noticed the wizard and witch were still arguing. So he flipped through the pages. "Aha," the boy said. "This should work perfectly." He read a magic spell and waved his hands about. All at once the house started to shake. Poof, bang, pop, the witch and wizard were turned into earthworms. The boy with no name put the 2 worms in a jar and then threw them out onto the yard, in the sight of a hungry crow. Then he went out back to the pond and read the spell backwards, turning all the frog children back into regular children. Then the boy with no name went back into the old rundown hut and took the old wizard's cloak and hat. He then looked at the book again in curiosity. Merlin's magic words of the wizard. Then the boy with no name thought to himself, "I like the name Merlin. I think I'll keep it." The boy with no name, now known as Merlin, decided he had an old bread maker to pay a visit to with his new fancy book.